Steals. And Bonds hits one high. Hits it deep. It is out of here. 7:56. Bonds stands alone.
Now Booker with Tucker on him. Throws it up for 8. Shot blocked by Antetokounmpo. What a block from Giannis.
17 seconds from Game 7 or from championship number 6. Jordan open. Chicago with the lead.
Minute remaining. And they're putting Curry in the pick and roll, trying to get him on Irving. Irving and Curry, one-on-one. Irving puts it up. It's good. Kyrie Irving from downtown.
We're sending it in, Jerome. That's for damn sure.
Yes. What is up, everybody? Welcome to Taproom Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Jordan. Stacks, lads. Joined with my guy, Mr. Aaron Kidd, live and direct from Lynchburg, Virginia. What's going on, AK?
Jordan, how you doing tonight, man?
It's going, man. It's going. Just got done watching the Baylor game as you did. Tough L for the Baylor Bears. Dropped 2 straight. They really fell apart there at the end. Could not get a fucking bucket, man.
Couldn't get a bucket, and it was a very pro-Duke crowd, it seemed. So
it was
almost felt like a Duke home game.
It was. Honestly, that game worried me a little bit, but I do think that Baylor was the right side because they were coming off that blowout loss to Michigan State. Usually those are the kind of spots you like to back good teams on, but Duke hasn't beaten a good team all year, really. And that kind of worried me going into this game because this was like an important game for Duke to kind of like finally figure things out. Looks like they did at the end there, but John Shire's still a fucking shitty coach, so that's that.
Yeah, it just seemed like Duke's kind of size kind of gave them problems at the end, and it just felt like Baylor's tenacity just wasn't there, man. It just felt like one of those games where, like you said, it was a get-right spot for Duke, and Duke just wanted it a little bit more.
Yep. It looked like they did too. It looked like they knew that it was a game that they like kind of had to have in that spot. So it's interesting. We're gonna be updating games throughout the course of the show tonight. We are being brought to you by Sharps, SHARPZ. Make sure to go download the app straight to your mobile device. Use promo code Jord517. It's free to download. Track your bets. Become a better. Go do it. And with that being said, last week we were on here talking college bowl season. And we've had a few go on. We were on the wrong side of New Mexico State, right side of UCLA, which was a fucking weird-ass game, dude. Garbers doesn't start, and then he comes in the second half and kind of takes over. And that's really what I wanted to ask you, AK, because that's been a huge talking point of bowl season this year is, like, we don't know who's going to play, like, up till the minute. Like, yesterday, we had no idea if Frank Harris was going to go or not until literally, like, an hour before the game. Like, what is your thoughts on kind of how bowl season is going so far and kind of what's the strategy to kind of play it?
I think the first strategy you have to have is even more so than you do in the regular season. It's starting by picking your spots, right? So you can't come out and just start firing every bowl. Even if you're playing bowl games on good information, whether you're playing it on player opt-outs, motivation factor, whatever you're playing it on, that's great, on top of your handicap. But I feel like you have to, 1, pick and choose your spots. 2, you have to really see like what your number was for like a regular season game and see how that matches up, right? So for instance, last night, if there's a healthy Frank Harris on a neutral field, UTSA is probably laying 13.5 with the way Marshall's season really, kind of went down the stretch. I know they started off really good, but what no one was talking about was they were really banged up at the end of the season anyways, taking out the counting for all the opt-outs. Yep. So with that being said and done, that game's probably 13.5 on a neutral field, during the regular season. I thought at one point last night, if my plan was last night, if it got below 7, I was actually going to buy back on it.
Yeah.
Because I didn't think it mattered who was the trigger man for UTSA. And ultimately it was right. But I don't regret playing New Mexico State. That's a wager I'd make every, 100 times out of 100 times. Jerry Kill, maybe we can blame his athletic director a little bit. Didn't allow Jerry Kill to have his.
That was New Mexico's athletic director.
Yeah.
University of New
No,
Mexico.
going back to New Mexico State, I know we lost on that one, but I'd make that wager 10 out of 10 times.
Yeah.
I know Jerry Kill, the athletic director, really didn't let them be ready to play, but that's a different story. UCLA's a bet I would make 10 out of 10 times. Had a little bad information on. We thought Ethan Garbers was going to start. He ultimately ended up playing and was the difference. I mean, you get UCLA blows that team out by 30 points if Garber starts the whole game, right?
Yeah, that was weird why he didn't start.
There's a lot of rumors that it was disciplinary action. So he must have missed curfew. Something happened to where they made him sit out the first half. But my only regret, I would say, truly is, and I pitched this game on the show last week, was Miami of Ohio.
Yep.
I knew it was going to be a monsoon. I knew it was going to be ugly. I knew Miami, Ohio's defense was elite. I mean, not even just for the MAC. I'm talking about in the whole country.
Yep.
And so that was my only regret not playing it. I'd play New Mexico State and UCLA 10 times out of 10 times.
Yeah, I definitely I thought New Mexico State was definitely the right side. I was absolutely shocked how they kind of showed up in that game, and then that press conference after where Jerry Kill saying that New Mexico's AD didn't let them have the practice field, so they didn't practice for a whole week, and it kind of made sense. It looked like they weren't prepared. You know what I mean? So, that's kind of how bowl season goes sometimes. It's a lot of weird shit. That's the easiest way to put it. It's hard to handicap. And then this year we have guys opting out last minute. So, and then even Marshall's running back plays the first half and then sits out the second half. What's the point of even playing?
That happened with Western Kentucky. We all knew Austin Reed was gone, right?
Yep.
But they, I'm not going to say his name right, but it's Veltenkamp.
Yeah.
He was actually pretty highly recruited out of high school. I know him. I knew him already, and he wasn't supposed to play either. He's supposed to be on his way out. Next thing I know, he's in the game playing and leads them back from 28-0.
Yeah, man. If you had Old Dominion, man, I'm sorry. Condolences. My condolences are out to you.
But once again, when you're talking about line movement, that game opened, I think, if I remember correctly, around a pick 'em.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe even Western Kentucky -1, -1.5.
Yep.
It ran off all the way to ODU -6.5.
Yep. And they came back down right before kick.
Yeah, but and I'm sure the reason why the number came back down is there was information who the trigger man was going to be. It wasn't going to be the redshirt freshman that hadn't played any, right? So I'm sure that was the line movement. But my point is, at 6.5, there's no way that ODU did anything during the regular season on a neutral field to be laying 6.5 against Western Kentucky. And that's what I'm talking about. At some point, there's an I guess you could call it an overreaction, right?
Yep. I think that happens
or an
a lot.
exaggerated line move because people are simply playing. Oh, they hear Austin Reed's out. Austin Reed, even though he's a group of 5 players, a household name. Anyone that follows football, college football at all, knows Austin Reed. They hear he's out. They hear their best lineman's out. I still knew Malachi Corley was playing. We talked about that last week.
Yep.
I mean, there's still guys that could play ball, doing that. And so at some point it becomes an overreaction. And even so, when you're coming out playing bowl games, sometimes you're playing just simply numbers, all right? So let's just say you had ODU plus 1.5 in that game, right? Or whatever it opened at. You could have easily bought back to Western Kentucky plus 6.5 and had a chance for a touchdown, 7.5 point middle.
Yep. That probably would have been the best thing to do too. But there was some rumors on Twitter, and that's why it came back down to 4.5 was because there was rumors that Austin Reed may play, literally the day of. It was people were saying, oh, Austin Reed might go. And then, right before kickoff, he doesn't go. And it was, I don't know, bowl season's just crazy. You really have to stay up to date. And it's almost to the point where, we talked about CLV being meaningless now. It truly is meaningless in bowl season because you have zero idea of what's going to happen right before the game. Literally, you might be better off waiting 5 minutes before the game and making your bet based on the information up to date. So
our good friend of the show, AC Money, he told me something a while back, and he said during bowl season, live betting and second half betting is your favorite. It's your best friend, right?
Yep.
And so it's so true because one, you can, I'm not a middle kind of guy. I'm just not
Oh, I got you back, AK. What were you saying? You're not a middle kind of guy? I lost you right
Yeah, I
there.
was just I'm just saying I'm not a middle kind of guy, but my point of that is if you see a team isn't, motivated,
Right.
right? Or doesn't feel like being there, kind of like Cal came out early, seemed like okay, but you kind of just felt like Texas Tech was going to take that game over and run away with it. That would have been a great opportunity to hop in when I think California was up like 14-7. I
Yep.
think remember Jaden Ott had run a touchdown or caught a touchdown, and it would have been a perfect spot to jump in on Texas Tech.
Yep.
So live betting, second half betting could be your best friend during bowl season.
Agree. All right. So, do you have any? Have you had any like change of heart to any of the bowl games that we've talked about, or is there any bowl games that maybe we talked about that you have even more confidence in? Maybe I know we both had some strong conviction on Michigan, and we've actually seen some books have gone to like -2, -2.5 on Michigan. A lot of people must have listened to the show.
That's right, man. Taproom Sports is moving lines. Sort of, Jordan. So, I bet SMU early on, like -10.
Yep.
I think I even have some -9.5s out there. Bet that on the news that well, one, we knew Moorhead was gone, but we knew their starting running back who got banged up at the end of the season, he was gone, plus their backup running back's gone. So after all that news, we played it on there. The line had jumped all the way up to like 12.5. But we figured Preston Stone wasn't going to play, right? I mean, we knew that was a season-ending injury.
Yeah.
It was never confirmed, but we knew it. We're not brain dead, and so we played -9.5, -10. I think it's back down to like 11, 11.5 now. I'm still happy with that. I don't think it matters who's the trigger man for SMU or Boston College. I think that SMU is pissed off. They feel like they were shafted from playing Oregon in the bowl game. And so I think SMU is going to come out and lay the wood to them. So I don't regret that at all. I'm happy with that. At some point, as I said, I'm not a middle guy, but at some point, if the line just keeps getting way out of hand, I have Missouri +2.5, +2 money line, so at some point, Ohio State might be opportunity to buy back some on that, just because at the end of the day, we're still talking about Ohio State, right?
Yep.
We can talk about all the motivation factor. I know Missouri wants to win that game, but at some point it becomes an overreaction. But I'm gonna throw one at you that I am very close to betting, and it's Duke.
Why Duke?
I know all the talk. Mike Elko, he's gone. Riley Leonard, everybody's gone, right? Why in the world would anybody want to bet Duke, right? And if you see Troy is getting hammered, that line has just gotten steamed all the way up. I'm seeing like 7.5, 8s out there
7.5.
now, right?
Yep.
And so my point of that is as I said earlier in the season, if you were making your line during the regular season, even when Riley Leonard was hurt, okay, so take Riley Leonard out of the equation, and Duke was playing Troy on a neutral field, would you make the game Troy -7.5, -8?
No, but Duke is loot. There are going to be missing like 6 defensive starters as well, and like that was a stout defense.
I still think that Troy should never be laying -7.5 against Duke. I really don't. And it's always that. Well, the players who's left, they want to play up for their coach coming in. There's a lot of motivation back there, and so that just goes back to what I was saying earlier. When I make that line, even with no trigger man, even with the injuries on defense, Troy -1.5, -2.5, and you're going to give me a free touchdown with the Blue Devils. I like the Blue Devils.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have any conviction in that game either way, but it's tough. But I mean, like again, like we kind of said the same thing about Georgia Southern. We were like, that's probably the best side to play because Ohio's missing all these players, and it didn't even end up mattering. You know what I mean? Like Ohio still fucking won the game outright. So.
And there it goes again, based off information, Ohio's trigger man was gone. They had a couple offensive linemen gone. If you're playing simply on that, man, you're not always going to be on the right side of it. I'm still happy with my biggest bet, which is Arizona. I think Oklahoma has no motivation to be there at all. I think Oklahoma had, they wanted to win the Big 12 one more time, right off into the sunset, right?
Yep.
And that obviously didn't happen. Gabriel's gone. Their best 2 offensive linemen's gone. Their best 2 running backs are gone. And I think Arizona wants to prove that their season wasn't a fluke, right?
Yeah, I agree. Is it still confirmed Bo Nix is playing in the bowl game?
I have not looked at it since this past weekend, but as of this weekend, everything I was hearing was that he was playing.
Yeah. Yeah, it still says that he's playing.
Yep. And I think that, that's baked into the number.
Bucky Irving is out though.
Yes. Yeah. That was confirmed early on. Yeah. Or earlier.
And Troy Franklin also not playing. So that's another big loss too. I'll
be
honestly,
honest, Jordan. I don't want anything to do with that game personally.
Yeah, me either. And I honestly wouldn't be shocked if Bo Nix doesn't play. Like we talked about it before. Like remember what happened with Matt Corral? You know what I mean? Like it has zero benefits to Bo Nix to play in this game. Zero. It doesn't benefit him at all. It just makes no sense why he would play in this game.
The only thing is I can understand the thinking I got waxed by Washington twice, and he wants to put on a good show. He wants to leave on a high note. I just feel like Bo Nix is one of those kind of guys that like doesn't want to just ride off into the sunset with a loss,
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Someone just texted me they were listening to our show last night and they said, "Dude, you're crazy with the Nick Bosa comments." Because we were talking.
Would you have some Nick Bosa comment? That's hilarious.
We were talking about the white versus black Rashard Mendenhall, and I said Nick Bosa would skip the Super Bowl to play in that game.
Yeah. Pretty sure you texted our group text you'd have 20 sacks in that game, and
easily
kind of lost it, screaming.
Oh man, let's talk some college basketball. AK, what's your thoughts on? Because we haven't really talked about college basketball at all this year. What's your thoughts on the season, kind of thus far? Like teams you're high on, teams you maybe overvalued to begin the year, teams you undervalued.
Well, I mean, I'm not ready to take a victory lap yet, but I went on this show before the season started and I was really high on Grand Canyon. And I got the chance to see them live, here in Lynchburg, beat a very good Liberty team. It was Liberty's first loss in 21 home games.
Yep.
Grand Canyon just finds a way, man. You got a healthy Blackshear back now. I'll be honest, man. I would hate to be a Power 5 school playing them on the 7-10 line or the 8-9 line. Like I really would, I would, you're going to get a maximum effort. And man, you talk about fans. I've been to a lot of basketball games in my life, Jordan. Been to a lot of, Power 5 games, mid-major games. Never seen fans like that. They actually chartered private jets from the university all the way across the country to Lynchburg to funnel fans in there. Like it's unbelievable for a mid-major. So a lot of respect for them. I like Grand Canyon a lot. I think they're tough. Another team that we talk about some is Oklahoma, and I know a lot of people, if you went on the Twitterverse today, was on North Carolina. I did not play the game, but I actually leaned Oklahoma. I have a future on Oklahoma plus 6,000 to win the national championship. So another team I didn't really undervalue. I just didn't know a lot about was Colorado. I'm pretty impressed by Colorado as well right now, Jordan.
Colorado or Colorado State?
Colorado. I like Colorado.
Yeah,
I saw what their front court did to Miami, destroyed them.
Yeah, they're and they did it without Cody Williams too, which was pretty impressive. Right. No, Colorado's a good team. I actually thought they were. I'm not gonna lie to you. I thought they were gonna be better. I know they hit like a little bumpy part in the road early on, but then they actually started playing Cody Williams more, and that's when they really started to pick it up. It was that Colorado State game actually. Colorado State was leading by like 12. Cody Williams played the entire second half. It was actually a close game down to the wire, and that was really where Colorado's season I feel like kind of took a turn for the better. But yeah, they're gonna be a tough out for sure. They got a lot of talent out there. I mean, I would say like the team I undervalued the most coming into the year by far Colorado State. Like I didn't think that team was gonna be that good, and here they are, fucking 10-1. They have some incredible wins, dude. They have wins against Creighton on a neutral, Colorado. They have wins. They beat Washington, and they barely lost to St. Mary's. And they had some injuries in that game. So, Nico Medved doing a great job out there in Fort Collins. I think Colorado State's really good. I definitely overvalued my Trojans, man. I thought they were going to be a lot better. Andy Enfield, dude, that dude can't coach, bro. Like, he's definitely a lame duck, dude. He's getting fired at the end of the year. I've heard from, like, really close sources that if they don't make it out the first round, that he's gone. And their recruiting is showing it right now because they're, like, 40th in recruiting this year. And that kind of tells me that, like, recruits are very unsure if he's going to be coaching there next year. Obviously, he's going to go out there and recruit like he's going to be there, but it shows a little bit of uncertainty there as far as Andy Enfield going. Houston, also another team I undervalued. They lost what's his face? Marcus Sasser from last year. They're even better, dude. That team is better than last year. They could legit win the fucking national title, and coming into the season, that was something I would not have told you. I think Connecticut, I definitely don't think they're as good as last year. They lost tonight to Seton Hall at Seton Hall. I thought they lost to Kansas. I thought they could have lost a couple other games, but, they ended up pulling through. Also, for some reason, AK, Danny Hurley cannot coach in close games. Like, that team either blows a team out or they fucking lose. Like, there's no in between. They either win by
it was like that last year, yeah.
Yep. They either win by double digits or they fucking lose, dude. There's like no in between. What's your thoughts on UConn?
I like UConn, man. Hit a gnarly ticket on them to win it all last year.
Yep.
Sorry, my cat keeps walking across my laptop tonight, Jordan. I apologize.
Nah, you're
good. His name's Who, so he's definitely for the Wahoos. I think UConn, once again, we're talking about a team that won the national championship last year. Let's not forget they went on a stretch where they lost 6 out of 8 Big East games last year. This team has never been perfect. And so, the loss tonight doesn't scare me away. They beat a very well coached Gonzaga team. I don't think Gonzaga's maybe where they've been in prior seasons. But I did want to bring up, you asked me earlier, another team that I kind of undervalued coming into the season. Maybe I overvalued St. Mary's. Kind of hopped off their train right now.
Yeah.
I kind of had to get off that bus while the bus still had wheels on it. And I don't know, man. I can't figure out that team. They just struggle offensively so bad. You know what that team reminds me of? Some years of UVA. If you watched a lot of UVA basketball over the years, you've seen some great defensive teams and some great offensive teams, but not many. And so that's what that St. Mary's team reminds me of is a UVA team, maybe 2016, 2017, where they came out, they played good defense. They're only going to allow 48 points a game, but the problem was, could they score 50?
Yep. I think Randy Bennett, and it's funny that Randy Bennett and Tony Bennett are both the coaches of those teams, but Randy Bennett, like, he's so stubborn in, like, the way he plays that, like, I feel like with the guards they have in Marshallonis and Aiden Mahaney, like, they should play at a little bit faster of a pace. And that doesn't mean, like, go at a breakneck pace, like, where you're averaging, like, under 14 seconds per possession. But, like, there's times where, like, they get numbers and they pull it out and run shot clock just to, like, not get a good shot. Like, you should go after and get the best shot available, whether that's running a fast break or not. You want to get the best shot. And I think sometimes, to Randy Bennett's detriment, they pull it out too much and run too much clock. And I think it would really benefit them to run at a faster pace. And there's teams on the flip side of it. Like, I'm watching Western Kentucky against Cal Baptist last night, and Western Kentucky's like up by 20, yet off makes and misses, like, they're taking these bad shots without numbers. And it's like, bro, you're up 20 and you're taking bad shots and you're just giving more possessions to Cal Baptist. And what do you know? Cal Baptist comes back and it's a 1-possession game at the end. And I think there has to be a balance with pace. And a lot of teams in college basketball, like, they're so fixated on the way they play that they don't play with pace. They don't play to the pace of the game. And I think it costs a lot of teams in the long run. St. Mary's on one side, and on the antithesis, you have a team like Western Kentucky. And there's a lot more teams nowadays like Western Kentucky that just play at a breakneck pace, up and down the floor. And while that can be good and get you easy shots, sometimes you're letting your opponent get back into the game because you're giving them more possessions throughout the course of the game. So that's something.
You know, Jordan, it's a good point, man. I mean, I've said that about some of Tony Bennett's teams over the years. Is at some point you're almost being tunnel vision, you know, to only wanting to play one way, right? At some point, it's a game of basketball. You gotta let the game come to you, right?
Yep.
You know, if you get a steal and get out in transition, you got numbers 2-on-1, 3-on-2, 3-on-1. Let's make a good pass, right? Let's put the ball in the hoop and go back and play defense again, right? And it's so many times with Tony Bennett, he wants his guys to just pull it out, reset. You know, it just kills, it kills the morale, if you will. You know, we should be having a Showtime dunk, right?
Yep.
You know, or a oop coming down the court to get the crowd going, and we're pulling it out here. We're going to run half court. It's almost frustrating, but it's because I think those coaches are so. I don't know if the word stubborn is the right way, but like they're just so concentrated on getting their kids to buy into playing defense, which, okay, yeah, in the game of basketball today, maybe it's tougher to get kids to buy into really playing defense, you know, like how maybe we came up.
Yep.
But you still got to be able to score the ball, man. You know, it's great. If you allow 40 points, you still got to score 41.
Yep. But you gotta get stops. You know, at the end of the day,
Well, sure, right.
You got to get stops, and you can't just hope your opponent misses. And that's, I feel like most college teams nowadays, it's like we're just gonna outscore you. And on the flip side, AK too, you know, Gonzaga, that's kind of how they always been. And this year they're actually playing defense, but they really don't have a guy that can get a bucket. You know, Anton Watson might be their best offensive player. But I mean, I've watched
Nembhard would. I mean, he's so frustrated. Even going back to his
days of
Creighton days, it's so frustrating.
He's like he turns the ball over way too fucking much for my liking for a point guard. He makes a lot of bad decisions, and he's hella short too. I'm not a fan of short guards. If you've ever heard me talk about Hawaii, you'll know that they play 4 midgets at the guard, and like I just think you're at a disadvantage when you have guys that short because anytime they drive the ball, it's gonna be harder for them to attack the rim and actually get a good shot off because they're gonna be going amongst the trees. And then B, like they're going to be relying so much on outside shots and bad shots at that it's a little difficult sometimes. So not a big fan of small
that's
guards.
actually a good team to bring up when you're saying that's a team that almost slows the ball down too much. You know, they should use those guards to attack more like they did in the first half of that Nevada game the other night. The second half, they wanted to go slow. They wanted to run offense, and they couldn't get easy buckets. You know, it was sometimes where they would get, a rebound, a long rebound at the 3-point line, simply got to go up, got numbers 3-on-1, and they would just pull the ball out and want to run a 30-second, shot clock. It was mind blowing. I do want to bring up Cal State Northridge, man, in an 11-year drought against the Pac-12 on UCLA last night. Shout out to our good friend Keith Landry down in the Bayou for sending some information, mine and our good friend Trigger's way. So that was a nice little, wish I would have had some money line. I'm pretty sure the money line was plus 2,500 before the game, but got a nice little plus 17.5 there. So shout out to them. That was a good game. I fell asleep with about 12 minutes to go, but was happy to wake up a winner.
Oh man, I was watching that game. I could not believe what I was seeing. I mean, Cal State Northridge led the entire game after it was UCLA led 2-0 and then never led again. It was all Cal State Northridge. CSUN's doing some incredible things this year. On the flip side, UCLA, a very young team this year, which is, very not what they've been the last few years is, they had Jaime Jaquez and Tiger Campbell and company. So it's going to be a long year for Mick Cronin, man. That was an ugly game, bro. Ugly game. Very unlike Mick Cronin. That's all I can say about that. Back to Hawaii real quick. I do want to say one thing is, Aaron Gano, the head coach of Hawaii, he did coach under Randy Bennett for what it's worth. So that's where his style is.
That's right. Yes. Yeah, that's right.
But Hawaii, to his credit, Hawaii is playing at a faster pace than they were last year. I just think Hawaii's biggest issue, bro, is like they're really small. Like they're small in the front court and they're not deep. So if they get a foul or two, if they get one guy in foul trouble in the front court, they're kind of fucked. But that's kind of how a lot of these smaller schools are. They aren't really deep in the front court. And then in the back court, they're tiny, dude, and it's always going to be a problem when they have to play bigger teams. Like they're going to struggle in Big West play when they got to play a team like UC Santa Barbara, who's got AJ Mitchell, who's a 6'6" guard. You know what I mean? Like who's going to guard him? And that's kind of that was their problem against Keenan Blackshear on Sunday. It was like they don't have anyone that can guard Keenan Blackshear, and like you need Cam.
J.K. McCoy, former Wahoo. You know, he's an undersized forward.
Yeah, but that's the problem. Is like then you're leaving forwards, you know, being guarded by.
Oh no, I know that. No, I agree. That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
because they did for a point they did put McCoy on Keenan Blackshear, but then it was just leaving Davidson and all the bigs wide open underneath, and like they couldn't really do anything to stop him. So I don't know. Like I like Hawaii. I think Aaron Gano's a great coach, but I think they're gonna struggle in conference play, dude. I think they're gonna struggle against UC Irvine, CSUN now. Like Northridge is gonna have something to say about the Big West this year. Long Beach State is a great team as well. The Big West is actually a really good conference, man. And, you know, Long Beach beat USC. That's a quad 1 win. CSUN beat UCLA. That's a quad 1 win. This could be a two big conference at the end of the day, maybe. Maybe.
Wouldn't that be great?
That would be crazy. I don't think that's ever happened in my lifetime. Ever.
You know, hey, shout out to the Big South, my conference. Couple big wins. High Point beat UNC Greensboro last night. Radford with the big win tonight over West Virginia. So happy to see that conference. That conference wide open, man. I think Longwood's going to have something to say. You know, they're always at the top of it. High Point's playing very well, and they might cover every game this year. But when Radford's shooting the lights out, man, Radford's a tough team to beat. So.
Yeah, they take a lot of bad shots though. Like if those don't go in, man, it's different. And on the flip side, like you know me, like I think Raekwon Battle. I think the world of that kid. I think he's
me too.
I think he's a great fucking player. But they're inexperienced together as a team, like because Kirk Risa, Raekwon Battle, Noah Farkin, like they haven't played a ton of games. Even Acott, like they haven't played a ton of games together, and it really showed. On both sides of the ball, really. Like there was a lot of miscommunication on defense, on rotations, which led to a lot of offensive rebounds for Radford, which led to easy buckets. And then you got Kirk Carissa. That motherfucker still sucks, dude. Like I fucking can't stand that guy. He's one of the worst point guards in the country, dude. Like that dude makes so many bad passes, and like that was his problem last year, dude. And then he gets in his head, and once he gets in his head, like he stops making shots, and he just doesn't play with confidence. And once he doesn't play with confidence, he's not the same guy. And like I watched it tonight. The same thing happened. Like he made a couple of bad turnovers, which led to fucking buckets on the other end. And you know, at one point, West Virginia had like a 5-point lead, and they're going down on a fast break, and he throws a boneheaded alley-oop, dude, like a stupid pass, bro. And the defender's right there. He like throws it over. I forget the dude. Forget who he threw it to, but he threw it over the dude's head, bro, like 2 feet over his head. And that was when Radford made that comeback, and they ended up winning the game. So I think as far as West Virginia is concerned, like it's going to take them a few games to kind of get right offensively. But once they do, like that's a talented team, dude.
Oh, that's going to be a bet on team moving forward. Me and Sugar were together going to the Hampton game on Saturday, and he actually liked them against UMass the other day. But that was before we found out Battle wasn't going to play. But that's going to be a bet on team in the coming weeks.
Yeah, I think that team's going to be. I think they're going to be dangerous in conference play, especially because like they have a good home court advantage. I know they lost at home today, but you got to remember students are they're not on campus right now for a lot of these schools. Providence had a lot of students on campus last night, and then they probably all left. You know what I mean? So that's one thing to keep an eye on for the next couple of weeks. Is a lot of these schools, man, if they have true home games, they're not really true home games because a lot of students are not on campus. Not on campus. Watched it today with the Cal game, man.
Yep, that's a good point.
There was like nobody at that Cal game. What? Oh man, if you had Cal,
if you had Old Dominion and then had Cal today. Whew.
Oh my god, dude, I would probably fucking blow something up, dude. That
same.
That is probably like they were up by 26 AK with like 10 minutes to go in the first half and just imploded, dude. I've never seen anything like, well, I've seen a lot like that, but that was crazy. That was crazy. What other so we got some college hoops turn. We got the Diamond Head Classic starting tomorrow, which is in Hawaii, AK. We have, I know Nevada, Hawaii is there. Who else is playing in that tournament? Portland Pilots, UMass, Georgia Tech. Who else do we got there?
I'm actually excited for that Portland Hawaii game.
Yeah, that's gonna be a good game. That's gonna be interesting.
I'm excited for that one. I'll tell you one that I have circled tomorrow, Jordan. I haven't played anything yet. I'm actually trying to find a line for this game, but I still haven't. But something that I saw as soon as Maine got blown out by Central Florida the other night, they're staying in Florida, playing Florida International tomorrow. I think it might be another buy low spot on Maine. I know I keep coming back with the Black Bears, but I think I'm either 3-0 or 4-0 betting them this year. So looking to maybe hop in on that game. Maybe not pre-flop, but maybe at halftime or something. See, I like those halftime bets in college basketball. I mean, you talk about them all the time because you kind of come out and see the flow of the game. Or let's just say in a situation, you've got a team that you liked beforehand that was maybe minus 9.5, and you're like, man, I really don't want to come out and lay 9.5, right?
Yep.
And then you come out, they're up by 2 at halftime, but you saw they went 3 of 14 from 3, and you're like, oh. And the other team, shot 9 of 12. You're like, hold on, these two, it's going to regress back to the mean. And the second half line is minus 3.5. And you're like, okay, you're telling me you're going to give me 3.5 more better points than I could have pre-flop. That's when I like hopping in on that, on said team.
Yep. I like that too, especially like I like it too when you're on a dog, especially a big dog, and like say they have like a 10-point lead or 8 to 10 points, and then obviously the favorite on the other side is going to be like, minus 6.5, 7 coming back the other way. Sometimes it's a good middle spot. You know what I mean? That you can get there too. It's just tough sometimes, like, cause first half, like I feel like college basketball is a tale of two halves a lot. Like one half goes one way and the second half goes a completely different way. So for me, it's like, it's tough to, kind of gauge the flow of the game, but I think you do make a great point where it's like if a team's shooting 86% from 3 in the first half, I mean, it's conventional logic tells you they're not going to shoot 86% for the entire game, so it is good to.
Hey Jordan, actually, DraftKings does have a lineup for that game, Maine +2. I feel like that's definitely a wrong team favorite situation there. So I'll probably be looking to hop in on something on that game at some point. I like the Maine Black Bears. I guess the young folks call it a wagon, right?
Yep.
So I guess that would be one of my wagons this year.
We got Nevada at Temple tomorrow at 9 a.m. Your time, 12 p.m. my time, which is
Temple with the crazy backdoor cover at VCU last Saturday. Did you watch that?
Oh yeah, dude, I did. I saw it on Bad Beats. After
football. Scott Van Pelt had it. Pretty sure it was number 1 on Bad Beats. If you were on VCU minus 9.5, so
yeah, that was brutal, man. That was brutal.
I'm pretty sure. What was it? VCU was up by 14 with like 20 seconds to go or 23 seconds to go. And they don't cover 9.5.
Yep. That I don't think that's worse than that fucking Jacksonville and UL Monroe game on Tuesday morning.
Yeah, we need to get that guy on our pod just to kind of go through the emotions of sweating out at 11 a.m. under to lose it like that.
Oh my god, dude! Could you imagine that? When I saw that, even because I saw a lot of people on Twitter like they took UL Monroe in that game, right? So, I'm like I'll watch games in my office, like even if I don't have action, like I'll watch them if it's the only thing on, right? So I'm watching that game at the end, and I'm like. I know UL Monroe closed +7, and they were losing by 5 points with like 25 seconds. So like normally a team's just gonna dribble out the clock, right? It's under 30 seconds. So there's a technical foul, and Jacksonville shoots 2 free throws. They make them, so they're up 7. or I'm sorry, 6, and then it was 8. And then after that, that dude dunks the ball and makes it a 10-point game. So if you had the under, you lost. If you had UL Monroe, you lost. And like both of them were pretty bad beats, dude. Like I would be, oh my God, I'd be furious, bro. I would be so mad.
Man, pour one out. And then imagine going from that and transitioning over to having Old Dominion.
Oh my God, dude. And then transition over to that, and imagine if you had the Philadelphia Eagles on Monday too.
I'm glad to have been on the Seahorses. An old man told me one time, he said, sometimes the right side isn't the winning side, but the winning side is the only side that pays.
That's right. Tomorrow, Detroit Mercy at Central Michigan. Detroit Mercy's 0-11, AK, and they're 1-10 against the spread. You think they got a chance at getting their first win
I think
tomorrow?
that team is missing Antoine Davis some kind of bet.
Yeah, a little bit. Just a little bit.
Yeah, I think they got Irv suiting up at the 5s for him. So,
Oh my God, that team's so bad. I bet on them. I bet on them +7 against Oakland, and they went on like a 12-minute stretch where they didn't score a fucking point. That was so bad, dude.
yeah, while we're on the subject, man, before we transition, another game that that I'm looking at tomorrow is, and I'm trying to find it right here. We talked about Portland, Hawaii. Oh, Hofstra, UNLV. UNLV coming off of a game where they kind of went toe to toe with St. Mary's. Probably had at least 50 chances to win that game. Probably should have never came back in that game, but St. Mary's let them back in, but had multiple chances to pull out a crazy upset. Hofstra, the team that our good friend Mark Zeno has been high on all year, so I've been following them. They came off a win against a very gritty Norfolk State team. So excited to see that one tomorrow. I think that one could have some fireworks.
Yeah, I'm not sure what to make of this UNLV team. I'm not gonna lie. They've been better as of late, but I feel like this is how they started off the year last year. Like last year they were like terrible defensively to start the year, and then they like really picked it up defensively. And like we've seen that since the Creighton game. Like they're a completely different team up until that Creighton game. And now they're like a different team. So it's tough to say like as to where they are. Like are they a team? Are they that team before the Creighton game, or are they the team after the Creighton game? Like I don't know. Are they in?
Well, you brought up a good point, not to bring up the tragedy, but you said before that game, you're like, man, this team's going to get up and do it for the community. After the tragedy, what happened at their campus. So
Yep.
take that with a grain of salt, but it plays a part into it.
It does, and then Hofstra is a East Coast team. They're coming over to Vegas. Maybe they're a little distracted.
Yep.
With the bright lights and everything going on. So, I don't know what's the line. Is there a line out?
Probably. And I was going to ask you too, Jordan. What do you think of Santa Clara and your alma mater, San Jose State tonight?
Oh, I like San Jose State in that spot. I think it's too many points. This game opened 1 and got bet all the way to 4.5.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I think Santa Clara, just because of their recent success and putting guys in the NBA, like they just naturally take money, like whether it's the right spot or not.
Yeah. And they've kind of they started off the year like really good, and they've kind of like fallen back to earth a little bit. They're still a really talented team. Like Carlos Marshall's really a solid player. But you look at their wins and like, that game against Oregon, like Oregon's missing Nate Biddle, they're missing Fonte, like they're missing a lot of guys in that game. So it's
Hofstra +4, Jordan.
Hofstra +4.
Yeah.
That feels about right.
Feels right.
Yeah. I don't have a ton of conviction there, but yeah, I like San Jose State tonight. I think it's gonna be a close game. San Jose State's played like shit though, by the way. Like they haven't been very good since losing to Cal Poly. That team's kind of fallen apart.
Well, what's his face? Yeah, exactly. That's what I was gonna say, man. Ever since him, I think they won the first game after he got injured, and then like lost a few.
Yeah, they've been pretty bad without Viola. They've been struggling. They don't have a lot of depth, dude. That's a problem this year. And obviously, when you lose Amari Moore, you know, Mari Mora might be the program's best player in the history of that program, and you lose him last year to the NBA, and it's like you don't really have a guy to step up and replace that kind of production. So we'll see. Tim Miles is doing a great job, though. He's turned that program around. This is the best that program's ever been in my life. So, you know, it's fun to watch. It's interesting to watch. After we hop off here, I'm gonna watch that game and hopefully watch my Spartans get a dub.
Yeah, I think it's the right side there. I was actually kind of thrown off by the line movement, but I almost jumped in. I saw it earlier, like midday. It was like +3, +3.5, and I kind of leaned that way.
Yeah, I think, you know, if it was like -1 like it opened at, definitely lean Santa Clara. I think Santa Clara is a better team, but I just think 4.5 is like way too many points, dude.
And I naturally just think Santa Clara just gets bet now just because.
Yeah, they're kind of one of those teams. Just like your Grand Canyon's going to be soon.
Hey, they didn't cover. Sam Houston covered. Did you see that?
Did they?
Yeah.
What was the final score? Oh,
76-64, yeah.
Bro, I knew Sam Houston was covering that game. Grand Canyon coming off 3 straight ATS wins.
San Jose State's up 2-0. There you go, Jordan. Don't look behind. Don't look behind you now.
Don't look now. End the game. 2-0.
That's right.
Blow the whistle.
Stop the count.
Before we get out of here, AK, I do want to talk some baseball, some Major League Baseball real quick. Your Yankees. Because we haven't talked about your Yankees since. What do you think about the, you know, Juan Soto trade? And they're in on Yoshi. No decision made yet. Apparently, Irv thinks it's going to be the Dodgers. He thinks everyone's going to sign with the Dodgers, though. So,
yeah, Mickey Mantle's rising from the dead and signing with the Dodgers.
I mean, Irv thinks it. I'm just going to be. It's going to be great when the Dodgers lose in the divisional series.
Yep, just wash, rinse, repeat. No, man, to answer your question, Jordan, you know, I like Juan Soto. I loved him, you know, being a local guy here. He was kind of, you know, the hometown hero, if you will. Young kid, played for the Washington Nationals for a long time in my back door. Loved him then. Thought the trade of the Padres, man, I thought that was big for the Padres. Thought, okay, Padres going to, you know, pair him up with Tatis. And Machado was already there. I was like, okay, this makes sense, man. You know, I mean, I would argue that the San Diego Padres probably had the best 1 to 4 top of the lineup guys, maybe in the league. And it was kind of, you know, discouraging to see them underperform all year. But I think that's what the Yankees needed. You know, everybody always wants to talk about the splash move and the Yankees are always going to overspend and stuff, but really they haven't.
Nope,
the Yankees have been very quiet this year.
Yep.
In that, and I know that is in, you know, preparation, trying to, you know, give Yoshi $3 billion, but you know, I think getting Juan Soto and what they gave up, I don't hate it.
Yeah, no,
you know,
they didn't have to give up that much because Soto is only on a year. He's a year rental technically, but it's not like the Yankees can't re-sign him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it just feels like that Soto is the type of guy that re-signs with the Yankees, right? Now if Soto is getting traded to the, you know, hate to say this, your Florida Marlins, you know, I don't know if Juan Soto resigns there. I'm just using that as an example, right?
It's a great example.
To a smaller market team. But Juan Soto is the type of guy that wants to be in a bigger market team. Let's face it, the Washington Nationals, San Diego Padres are 2 small market teams. He hasn't been on a big market team. And I think it's his time to shine. And I think if you've got a healthy Aaron Judge, I think if DJ's healthy, you know, DJ LeMahieu struggled with injuries the last couple of years.
Yeah.
And Aaron Judge has struggled with injuries. But I think if you put that top lineup, I think Volpe's going to take another, you know, leap this year. I think you got a good, solid core team there, man. And the biggest thing is we got to sew up the pitching. You know, I hated giving up Michael King. That was the one part that I was like, okay. But you still got Garrett Cole, and everybody said Garrett Cole was going to regress last year. He went out and had a Cy Young type season.
He didn't have a Cy Young type season. He had a Cy Young.
No, he
season.
had a Cy Young season, right? That's what I'm saying. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. And so he didn't regress. Everybody was waiting for Cole to regress. You remember some of those games? I was hammering the Yankees. People were getting steam. They were opening like -160. Was running off -120 with Garrett Cole pitching in the perfect spot, and Yankees smashed. So I think Yoshi should be a great piece. And it's nice not seeing the Yankees just overspending just for anyone, right?
Yeah.
They're not just buying a name right now. So anyone that says that, man, has obviously not been following the Yankees the last few years.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's a great move. Juan Soto is one of my favorite players in the league, just because he's like such a disciplined hitter, especially like at his age. Like you don't see that very often. And as far as Volpe goes, Volpe is probably going to bat leadoff, and if he can't hit leadoff in front of Soto and Judge, I mean that pretty much tells you he's not it. So I think it's a good gauge for the Yankees as far as he's concerned too, because then if he does struggle, they can kind of shift priorities a different way maybe, and get off him for seasoned vet or something. So it'd be interesting to see how the year goes with the Yankees. I mean that's a tough division, man. That is a very tough division, the AL East, because the
I
Orioles
think
are
it's
only
by
getting
far the best division in baseball.
easily. Orioles are only getting better. The Red Sox got a lot of top prospects coming up, like Marcelo Meyer. Obviously, they had Tristan Casas come up last year, so they got a lot of young talent coming up. And then you got the Rays. Obviously, the Rays will always be the Rays, and then the Blue Jays. You know what I mean? Like so, that's a tough division, AK. Tough division.
I got one for you, Jordan. Where's Robbie? I mean, where's Blake Snell going?
I think he eventually. I think if the Giants don't get Yoshi, I think he goes to the Giants.
There was a lot of talk of the Yankees wanting him and Yoshi.
Yeah, that's a lot of money though.
Could you imagine it? That's the move that the Yankees would make, right? We talk about they haven't made a lot of free agent signings. They've kind of, been hush hush about everything. Can you imagine a starting lineup that involved in some form Garrett Cole, Yoshi, and Blake Snell?
Oh, it'd be nasty, dude. I think the biggest concern with Blake Snell though is that like he's been very inconsistent the last couple of years, and like last year was a contract year, right? And then now he's 31, and apparently he wants like a 6-year deal, 6 to 7 year deal. So I think a lot of teams are kind of hesitant on that, which is why he's kind of like the second priority behind Yoshi. There's also talk that the Angels are in on Blake Snell too, so it'll be interesting to see, where Blake Snell goes. But I do think that the Giants probably have a leg up because they have a pitcher's park, so it's very friendly to pitchers. I think pitchers want to pitch in AT&T Park, and then B, the Giants have a shit ton of money too, and they're not really spending on anyone, even though they keep trying to sign guys. Just no one wants to fucking play there. So
This is my hypothesis. So if the Yanks land Yoshi or Blake Snell, because I do think one of them truly ends up in New York, there's a lot of talk of a Jordan Montgomery Yankees reunion. So I think if they end up getting Blake